So, good morning. Let's come back to the 2nd January 2016 newspaper. So, the first article is related to the fall in exports. So, let's analyze what are the reasons for drop in exports of India. There are many arguments from the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Commerce. Majorly, the Finance Ministry is very much worried that the fall in exports will act as a drag on its growth. So, in this context, the Arvind Subramanian and his article and reply from the Commerce Ministry, they are quite opposite to each other. So, in the report says this, since 1952 to 53, that is since after independence, this is the second worst drop in the exports. It is in 1952 to 53, there was around 18% of drop in the exports, to be precise, it is 18.7%. Now, 16% of the drop in exports growth, it is one thing, export reduction, it's not even export growth, it is export reduction. That shows an alarming sign for India. So, if you take the trends, UPSC recently started asking the trends in prelims. From 2010-11, we have got 40% plus growth of the exports, which is said to be the golden period of Indian exports. After that year, there is a slow fall in exports, 1 or 2% every year. But there is a drastic fall this year up to 16%. So here two questions that comes to my mind are these. Is it leading to loss of export market too? Or just we are losing the export value? So due to fall in commodity prices worldwide, we may lose the export value. That is not much worrisome to us. But if we are also losing the export market, it means that our products are uncompetitive. Many of the outsiders, if they are not buying our products, it means that we are losing the export market. So both are the reasons over here. So first is, India imports the petroleum and lubricants and refines them and exports them back. So in this case, as the oil prices are drastically falling, so the value addition which is happening in our refineries is also minimum. And second, gold and jewelry also takes the same course and there is a fall in their prices too. On the other hand, if you take, China has recently devaluated its yuan currency to make its exports competitive. Because of this devaluation, Chinese products have become much cheaper. And China is an important competitor to us. And in counter to China, many of the Southeast Asian countries, Vietnam and Philippines, they also took the similar route. Because of this competitive devaluation, Indian products have become a bit uncompetitive too. And after the recession, so still we did not come out of this recession factor. So in this context, the global demand is still sluggish. These are the major reasons for the fall in exports. Now, what is our impact? Now, export units, they form 20+% of our employment capacity. So, these employment opportunities may come down once the profits fall. And the next is, this recovery of the lost market is very difficult. To retain a customer, an old customer, is much easier compared to gain a new customer. And the money relatively has to spend to gain a new customer is many a times higher. So what the government is doing, already in the previous video I have covered this. So the state-specific foreign trade policies are initiated. So a state which has a unique capacity in a particular product or particular sector, it can promote that through its policy. Next is infrastructure development in the states through SID. So this project is called Assistance to the State for Infrastructure Development related to exports. The rules are being relaxed now. And export credit, the interest rate on the export credit is very high in India to the tune of 11 to 12%. Now government is considering to subvent that particular interest rate or decrease that interest rate. Again, the major challenge to India is inverted duty structures. The raw materials which are imported and the duties accumulated together are becoming much costlier than the import duty of the finished product. It means raw material 1 plus 2 plus 3, if they come together around 15 to 18% of total duty, the total duty on the finished product, it comes to around 10%. So that makes our products uncompetitive in our own market and outside markets too. So this inverted duty structure government wants to soon revise. Similarly, India has many foreign trade, free trade agreements with the neighbors and many other countries outside. So the products which are exported from our SEZs into our domestic tariff area, they face now a huge import duties. In this context, the government is considering treating the SEZs, imports from our SEZs, on par with the countries that have the free trade agreements. It means they also get very favorable duty structure so that the products from our SEZs can be sold in our domestic market too. And next is the Swiss challenge method. So try to understand this Swiss challenge method. So read, I have clearly given the notes for this. In this, first an idea is mooted by a private sector. So let me say, in my village, I think that a road can be laid or a bridge can be made across a particular river. Then I can moot or I can bring this idea to the government and I can give a clear plan of operation of this idea. Then the negotiation starts with the government. And what is the total cost of the project? What are the incentives I am expecting from the government? That is viability gap funding. Everything we make in detail. So after this, the government puts it on its website and gives the detailed plan over there. And it calls for the suggestions and improvements from the others. Now any other private player can challenge my original idea and he can suggest an alternative which can be cheaper, better than my idea. Now government will give a first opportunity for me to refuse is a challenge. Or else government will ask me, yes, can you take forward this idea at the cost which he is talking about? Then if I say yes, I will get the that particular project. If I fail to say yes, I cannot do at this price, then my competitor will get the bid. So this method is called as Swiss challenge method. What are the major advantages of this? Now, the government need not identify the project's infrastructure needs. It is the private people, based on their interest, they are identifying the projects. So the mobilization of resources will be much stronger, and innovativeness. Where the specific needs are there the projects are going to come up. And finally, you have so-called as motivation of the private players. And due to competition, we are not just getting the better price, but also new ideas. So that way, innovativeness angle, it's very good. But what are the weaknesses? Now, the government has to understand the idea presented by the private player. It is an unsolicited idea. So in this case, a communication gap between the governmental agency and the private agency will lead to the entire structure to fail. And second, maintaining the transparency in the entire process is a major challenge. The government can be questioned for corruption, and obviously the corruption and crony capitalism, the charges of government favoring one against the other, these are going to increase. So in this context, the Kelkar report on revisiting and restructuring of the public-private partnerships, it said the information asymmetries can complicate the Swiss challenge method. So it advised against the Swiss challenge method. So that's how it is in the news. If you take the economic survey report of 2014-15, it has specifically recommended this Swiss challenge route for public-private partnerships. Now coming to the Lodha report on the purity of the game or cricket game. Now BCCI, Board for Control of Cricket, so it has got its own challenges, especially the transparency related challenges. So how the BCCI operates is, Whatever the finances it gains from the operation of the cricket, sale of the tele rights, etc., it distributes these finances across the state units. And all the members of the BCCI are selected from these state units and university units, railway and services teams, everything they are going to contribute towards the BCCI board. So there is a lot of secrecy and fund dwindling and complaints of corruption with regard to the building of stadiums. To look into entire thing and suggest measures how to improve the system, avoid the conflict of interest in managing the BCCI, the Supreme Court has appointed this Lodha committee and it is about to give its report. More than that, there are no important points. And NAT grid, National Intelligence Grid, the idea was first mooted by Chidambaram, especially after 9/11 in the United States of America. This particular centralized information grid was created over there. So it monitors every movement of an individual or flight movements and transport movements across the country along with specific intelligence inputs. So it is kind of one big data setup for the intelligence which can monitor the information that is accrued from different sources. So in this context, when you are accumulating such a big information at one single place, the privacy challenges and security challenges always loom in. So Indian security establishment, it has proven that it has little regard for the privacy of the citizens. So securing the data is another challenge, especially in the world of cyber threats. So we can clearly say that the information which is available through the NAT grid, it has to be made specifically available to the individuals involved with the terrorist cases, and the protection of the information, it has to be given highest priority. So that's what is the NAT grid revival. So this you can update your notes from my notes with regard to security and privacy dilemma on your e-governance notes. And then is US-Iran tensions are on the rise again. So Iran is having its missile program. So United States of America is revisiting its sanctions because Iran has got into its missile program. The Iran argues that the missile program is not covered by the nuclear deal, and in its national interest and security interest, it has to bring in its own missile program. So it's no way connected with the so-called Iran nuclear deal. So the United States shall not much intervene into its entire or else micromanage its defense affairs. That's what is the Iran trying to say. The Prime Minister of Iran, Mr. Rouhani, is trying to say. So this is about today's newspaper and articles in the newspaper. And all the best. And as I said, since yesterday I have started writing my answers. Hope more of you will join. And on our website, with regard to posting of all the information at a single place, so it is also on a good pace. Probably we will also improve on that. So slowly we'll take this forward, and I'm going to have 2 more of my students to help me with regard to developing some material and also development of answers. So that's going to improve our system and I can better help you guys. Thank you very much. All the best.